This is crazy to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Are you able to hear me? Yeah, just tap me this way. I run it this way. That's cool. I run it this way. I'm not able to send you a request. It's not letting me send a request. Okay, there we go. Go allow everything. Let me do it this way. Oh, yes, sir. First of all, for all my, hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Chance, another episode of Mental Breakthrough. This is Rap About Radio. And to all my radio audience, sorry for the wait. I was having a little issue with my live studio, but I know you're listening, and I'm going live with IG. But I have a special guest here with me. Sorry about that, everybody. I just want to introduce him in correctly. I have director, producer, screenwriter, filmmaker, entrepreneur, brother Arthur Jordan Muhammad.
This is Arthur Muhammad. That's cool.
Yes, sir, Arthur Muhammad. I just wanted to give you the greeting. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you for connecting with me. I'm sorry about that. Again, I'm having issues over here in my other studio, but yeah, man. Welcome to the show. This is Mental Breakthrough. I like to have conversations with entrepreneurs like yourself on that breakthrough that you came across on your journey, on your way to where you are now. So I just want to give you a little backstory, man. I found out about you, I want to say about this time last year. I was watching on, I think it was IMDb TV and I was looking through black movies, and I came across Carter High.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we were watching Carter High, and I never forget, my wife, at the end of it, my wife was like, wow, that was good. That was deep. I said, yeah, it was. And then we seen on the credits, Arthur Muhammad. She said, that's why. And ever since then, I started doing my research on you. So for those who may not know who you are, would you mind giving a little bit of just a backstory on your experience as a filmmaker?
Well, my first film, let me take it all the way back, man, to the beginning before I even knew I was a filmmaker or striving to be a filmmaker. When I was in high school, my only job I had, I worked at a cinema, a movie theater, Redbird in Dallas, No Cliff. It was Redbird 1 through 4. Mm-hmm. And that was my only job I had. And I remember it was when Do the Right Thing came out, Spike Lee film. And I stayed, man, I supposed to been turning tickets. I was watching the movie like over and over and over and over again. And didn't, think anything else about it. But I ended up getting a football scholarship, and I went to SMU. And that's when, I found out that this was actually something that you could major in. Like, I'm like, for real? Like, I didn't know that. But right. Even back in high school, some of my teammates had like one of them had a VHS camera. And I would always be the one like directing stuff, not knowing anything about directing, we just fooling around with the camera. And so it's always been with me, bro, ever since then. And then I found out way after, I think right about the time of Carter High, my dad bought an 8mm film camera when I was born. And not to give it to me per se, but he bought it to just film us growing up. Right, and I remember looking at that footage, like that 8mm film footage, and it just looked like a movie, like grainy, like, and I was like, wow, I was always fascinated with that. So my journey, man, started way back then. And then my first feature film was Solitaire. I shot it on 16 millimeter for $6,000. You know,
Yeah, I think I heard you talk about that. Yeah.
yeah. So I shot it, man, and pushed it out, got distribution for it, and it just been going ever since. You know, so
Right. So, okay, so you said you bring up your father. Are you and your parents still are y'all close? Like, were y'all always close, tight knit growing up? And if so, are they still with you today? Are y'all still close?
uh, man, my dad wasn't a talker. He was just a worker. You know, so man, real talk. My dad could be in the same house for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and hell, I may not even see him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So our communication, I would have to write down something I may need it, slide it under the door. You know, when he get off of work, he just was working like that. You know,
Right.
unfortunately, my mom, she had a nervous breakdown when I was really young. So I was raised by my father. He just wasn't he wasn't a talker like that. So but he passed a couple of years ago, a few years ago. Matter of fact, on Father's Day, June 17th, 20, yeah, a couple of years ago. So, yeah, but one thing I come to realize, especially when I found out about the film camera and everything, like, you, even though you may not know who your father is or where he is, the life that you live in comes from him, whether you know it or not. You know what I'm saying?
That's deep.
So because it was in, like, literally in his sperm that I'm doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
That's God. That's God's plan, because during that time you was playing football, right?
Right.
So back then, was it in your mind football first, and then this is just something I have a little love for, but the goal was football, correct?
The goal was straight football. I wasn't even thinking about making no move.
See, so that's interesting. So, like, at what point, did it click, or like that movie Brown Sugar, when they fell in love with hip hop? At what point for you did you fall in love with? Dang, I want to do this for real. This is what I should be doing.
Man, after I was playing football, and unfortunately, a lot of times in life, it takes a tragedy or some type of trauma to make you, gain a little better insight.
Right.
So I actually got into it with my coach. I was playing a lot my freshman year, and ended up getting a new coach, and we was clashing, and I ended up transferring, quitting, lost my scholarship, went to another school because my focus was to play football. Right. Even though SMU had a really good film program at the time, I wasn't really into it like that.
Right.
So I go, and I tore my ACL my freshman year, but I came back my sophomore year and was playing a lot. Then I transferred and when I transferred, I hurt my knee again, didn't tear it, but just didn't get to play that whole season, about like the last couple of games. So after that, I just didn't go back to school. So that was my my junior year. It would have been my junior year, and I didn't go back. But again, I was still into the films and everything. And so when I didn't go back, came home, got a job, and I just started getting back into the film thing. And I saved some money, man, got a 16 millimeter film camera. I started helping a friend, LaRome Armstrong in Dallas, with his movie. And I would say that really was the spark. And the way that even happened, Spike Lee came to speak at a college in Texas.
And when you was Do the Right Thing was
yeah. So when he came to speak, everybody was trying to get at Spike Lee. And then Spike Lee said, well, y'all trying to get at me, but you have a filmmaker right here in your own city and state, and it's best to work with him, and y'all work together. So then he called him. He said LaRome Armstrong. So LaRome stood up, and so I was like, hey, I didn't know nobody was doing that. So I went, hooked up with LaRome to help him with his movie. And that is really what got it started, man. And the sad thing about it, bruh, LaRome never finished his movie. And I vowed at that time for myself, I would never ever shoot a film and not get it done and not finish. I couldn't do that. So I kind of like learned everything. I learned to write. I learned to produce. I learned to direct. I learned to edit. You know, not that I want to do everything, but I never want to be in a position, as they say, one monkey stopped the show. And that's kind of what happened with him. I saw how people that was doing the sound kept the sound. You know what I'm saying? When things didn't go right or disagreements come in, you know, people holding on the footage, that type of stuff. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to be in that situation.
So you never in all your years of filming started any, even if a small project, and not finished it?
No.
Wow.
No, I mean, not one that I was venturing out to actually do. You know, just little things I may have shot here and there, but I've never started out like on a film project. Even like the one that just came out, The Little Voice, which I hope everybody check it out.
I want to check that out, definitely.
You got to check it out, bro.
I was watching the trailer. It looked good. It looked good.
Man, if you and your wife,
just released it, right?
It just came out.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yep.
And if you and your wife, if y'all like Carter High, man, the Little Voice on another level, bro.
And I think I seen the computer one. I forgot my man's name.
First Impression, Lamar Russell.
I seen that was cool. So yeah, I definitely want to check out Little Voice. But I'm gonna dig in more about, you know, the film questions. But this is interesting because, you know, my pillars. I have 4 pillars for, you know, for the theme of the show. You covered love. You covered that one. So my next one is like I'm going to go into how your character was built, meaning your morals, because this is why I asked you about your family. Where did, you know, your spirituality come from? Like you coming to the nation and things of that nature. At what point in your life did that enter your life? Because it shows in your films.
Right.
So what point did that, you know, become a part of you, spirituality?
At SMU, I took a class called Black and White. And the professor, Dr. Glover, you know, he had a book called The Egyptian Book of the Dead, right? So after class, he was reading from this book and also another book called Before the Mayflower. So, man, I was hearing the book, and it was the first time I ever even heard the word Islam, right? And I've never even heard, the only religion I ever heard was Christianity. So I actually went and we tried to get that book, Egyptian Book of the Dead. And so after we got the book, he asked us to return the book. And so I went to Black Images. It was a black bookstore in Dallas to find that book. And I couldn't find the book. And so I found Message to the Black Man. And so I looked at it, I thumbed through it. I said, well, shoot, this right here is good enough. So I read Message to the Black Man. I didn't even go to class, bro, for like 2 days. I just stayed in my dorm room. Read the book. And then I hooked up with a brother who dropped the Malcolm X tape on me. So what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying in the book, and Malcolm X, I was like, wow. In the book, it reads, it don't tell you like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is dead. It don't say anything like that. So my whole time after I read the book, I had never heard of the minister. I just knew Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Message to the Black Man. So I'm like, man, where's this man at? you know? So one day, the minister had the all men's meeting in Dallas. And I went to the meeting, and shoot, just from that point on, and so we talking about 1992, 3, 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was just rebuilding the nation. Yep.
Right. So that's where it started at, bro.
Man,
and I've been studying and in it, and see, and I want to say this real quick, because a lot of times people get into the religion thing, but I always tell people, look at the definition of Islam. Islam is before error. This is not an Arab religion. Islam means total submission to do the will of God.
Yes, sir.
So whether or not you are that's what a Muslim is. I said I'm a son. The sun is Muslim. The trees is Muslim. Yeah. You know, don't get caught up in the religion thing. So as long as you striving to do the will of God, whatever you want to call it, the creator, supreme being, you Muslim by definition.
Yes, sir.
Just pull out Webster, you Muslim.
Yeah. So man, I'm with you on that because that's, animals, everything, just the will of God. Like at the end of the day, you don't kill the messenger. You know what I'm saying? Don't shoot the
Right.
messenger. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is God playing. And that's why I use the word spirituality in that a lot, because I'm finding though a lot of times, being an entrepreneur, you're doing for self, that's a key component, you know what I'm saying, you kind of have to have. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Now unless you on the other side and your spirituality is with Satan, then okay, you know what I'm saying. But if you're really doing good on this planet and trying to make things happen, you gotta have belief. And you gotta have belief in something higher power. And
Right.
and for my instance, of course, you know what I'm saying, I grew up in the nation, but it's crazy. I read Message to the Black Man when I was young, and I've been hooked ever since because to grow up, I'm only 32 now. To grow up and see everything come to pass,
Right.
man,
Right.
man, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's interesting because again, I see it in your films. A little bit about how you said you always completed a film, and that's interesting. So what are some of the kind of, if you would, the roadblocks or obstacles in creating a film? I hear all the time. I know you get asked this about the budget. How does the budget create how does the budget play a factor in your creative process? That's what I'm trying to ask. You know what I'm saying?
I try not to let it play a factor in it. And the reason being, if I do that, I'm giving money the power versus the creativity. I tell people it's called show business, right? But the word show come before business. So in other words, you can't have a business without the show. The show come first. So we so focus on the business aspect, you may miss the show. And I think that's kind of what's wrong with Hollywood now. A lot of projects is coming out. They put the same people in it. They tell the same stories over and over again because it's a formula, and they're focused on the business. So they have a certain amount of budget. They try to put certain people in it and say, okay, they can bring in this amount of money, so we can put this amount of money in the movie. Well, you put the business before the show. That's why it's backwards. So I try not to do that. But you do have to have some money because I want to take care of the people that's
Right.
that's rolling with me. But I told a friend a long time ago, a producing friend, most people take $10 to go watch a movie. I'll take $10 and make a movie. And I've made movies for not like $10, but like I said, my first one was $6,000, right?
Right.
So if I made a film for $6,000 on film now, not on digital, I'm talking about on film. So I had it processed, developed, transferred, and everything, and got it produced and distributed. That's my mindset. So even now with this digital world, my focus is still on how to make a movie by any means necessary.
Right.
And I give people, when I teach like classes, sometimes I tell them you should have 7 P. I don't tell them you should have. I say I go by 7 P's of production. Proper planning prevents piss poor production.
Proper planning prevents piss poor production.
Right.
Respect. Yes, sir. That's a professor.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So the more you proper plan in the beginning, it can help you alleviate not having as much money. So my last film, I'm not gonna tell how much it costs because a lot of people think it costs a whole lot more than what it did. But even Carter High, people be comparing it to like those big budgeted films. I didn't have no money for Carter, bro. I didn't have no money for Carter High. But you can't. I hope you can't tell when you watch the movie, though. You know what I'm saying?
No, you can't, man. It looked like that was an official, that was. And when I watch films, though, I'm not trying to criticize nobody, not even our community. When I watch films, I think about budget because I'm looking to venture off in that world eventually. But when I look at films, I look at Hollywood, I see the angles they use. And to me, I'm like, man, it got to be their camera. They got to hit certain angles that when we go out there and do it ourselves, we can't capture certain angles. And so that's when I can tell when, oh, now this is major. So when I watch Carter High, you was capturing angles like it was a major. I don't know if that that
I
makes
know.
sense. Or
Right.
what's that?
It's your eye, basically.
Right.
It's the eye of the director, because when you're making a film, you have to sit the camera in a certain place to tell a certain story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You just can't stick the camera anywhere,
Right.
because if I'm trying to get a certain emotion or cover a certain aspect of the movie, of a story within this scene, then I want to put the camera in a specific place.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we can do the same thing they do, bro. We just gotta respect the craft. And I think
See
what
that
we don't respect the craft.
When I look at a film, sometimes we'll go unconsciously. That's a black film. You know what I'm saying? Like unconsciously. So the end, when the movie ended, we saw the credits roll. It's no wonder it was deep. But we didn't know that because the angles were shot as if it was and then you had major actors. It was like,
Right.
This, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
check out the little voice, bro. The little voice. You got to check it out, bro. Because I went with actors here in Dallas that's not considered major, but I believe you're gonna get that same effect. I think you're gonna feel the same thing.
It looked like it from the trailer, and one last thing on the budget. I'm gonna, just for the listeners who wants to get in this field, how do you break down? If I have $4,000 to my name to invest into my craft, how much of it goes to the equipment, to the distribution side, to the artists or the characters, or the copyright. Like how do I break down the budget?
That's very difficult. Number one, you want to figure out what your budget is, what you can make this movie for. So you want to break down the script first, right? And you're gonna get all your locations, all your props, your cast, your crew, and figure out what type of crew do you need. Right. So the main thing that I like to roll with, the characters, the actors, and the crew got to be fed. Okay. If you can keep them fed, so let your first budget be, I got to feed my people. You know what I'm saying? Because a fed crew is a happy crew. You don't want to have people on the set with no craft services and no food, and you working them for 10, 12 hours. Right. So that's your main budget. Right. After that, like equipment wise, it's so easy. That's why I say I think we don't respect the craft as much, because when I was shooting on film, I had to, let me just explain, like a 400-foot roll of film is 10 minutes. That costs $100. So if I'm making a feature film, I need to make sure that when that camera starts rolling, I know exactly what I want, because I can't keep just shooting over and over and over again. But with these digital cameras and cell phones, we can shoot all day and not really respect what you're getting, because you can overshoot. So so the equipment is easy to come by. So but budget wise, it's about the crew and what type of talent you want. If you find people that respect what you're doing, they like the story, they like the script, you're good. They may go get you on GP, but just if something happened, then remember me after the fact. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. That's kind of how I do it.
No, that's interesting. Thank you for that. So another question I had, just how do you, when you create, do you create with an audience in mind already? Do you create with an audience in mind when before you start the writing, or is it or just how do your ideas formulate to say I want to transition this to film?
It depends. Like each movie is different. Like Carter High, I went to Carter High, right?
Sir. Mm-hmm.
And I played on the team. So from that point, I always felt like that should be a movie, especially when they came out with Friday Night Lights. I'm like, man, they didn't tell the story right, but are we going to complain about them not telling our story right, or are we going to tell our own story? Yeah. So I did the best I could to tell our story. Then after that, ESPN came out, did a 30 for 30 on it, and now everybody started, and the director actually came out and watched the film a couple of times. I talked to him. I took him to our picnic, our annual picnic, and he, interviewed the players, this and that. It was cool. Mm-hmm. Because my thing is, it gave the brothers an opportunity to tell their story. Yeah. And that was my whole point. So when ESPN jumped on, I'm like, cool. I ain't tripping.
You know, I asked you that because it's going to my next part, which is patience.
Oh, definitely.
I believe we have to have patience because again, it's God's plan at the end of the day. So, but I asked about patience because one, when say for example you have an idea this year or whatnot, and like you said, you did that Carter years before it came out. But at a point, does it get frustrating? For example, I have an idea, maybe I want to put something on film to talk about 2020 and what's going on now, like pandemic and this, that, and the third. But the timing of it, you know what I'm saying? Well, I can't. I'm sure if you shoot a film, you get it out in 2 weeks turnaround, or like what is that like for you? That process?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I kind of let the spirit guide me in that regards because I focus on the work, not trying to fit it in a certain time or take advantage of the timing. You know what I'm saying? If I'm inspired to write a story, what I try not to do is procrastinate, regardless of what that story is. I think procrastination is more the problem that's affecting the patience. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So and I think that's what we do. We have a story in us, right? And you be like, man, I'm thinking of this story. I'm thinking of this story. You never move on that story, right? But then in a year, you see a movie almost just like what you was thinking of. And you be like, man, they took my idea.
Right.
They didn't take your idea.
No,
but it is, you didn't move on it. And if once you think it or you put it out in the atmosphere or you talk about it, you got to always remember that if you have an idea, rest assured, it's someone out there that got the same idea. It's 4,400,000,000 people in the world. They may have the same idea or something similar to the point, and the only difference is they gonna move on it. You gonna sit on it. So yeah, I don't.
Thought travels.
All right, 24 billion miles per second.
Yeah, that's so you know, so that's crazy. So I mean, I wanna know, you know, again, for each entrepreneur like ourselves, I call it mental breakthrough, as you know, for, you know, I feel like society and the world we live in, you know, always try to put a glass ceiling over us or whatnot. And it comes with, you know, and we come with doubt and fear. And, you know, before we break through and get to the success that, you know, Allah has for us, we all have a moment. I know for me, you have a down moment or that down time where you start questioning or your faith get a little, you know, tinkered with. What was that time for you, if you ever had that time where you know, when your faith was getting tested? You know, like, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes. Okay, so where I was told this is not really what I so to speak. My focus should be on something else, right? You good? I think we have bad connection. Okay, there it is. Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yeah, someone kept trying to call me. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, yeah, where I was told this is not what you're supposed to be doing, this and that, and blah, 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 right? And so one time, now this is just me, right? This is what I went through personally. I'm sharing something personal now. So I'm meditating, like, man, because the people that I'm getting it from, I respect in a sense. So I'm like, is this what I'm not supposed to be doing? So now I start to think about the birth process and how when a woman is impregnated and the sperm strike the egg, you know, and I related that to light striking the film. Like when you're shooting, light comes in and it strikes the film. So when the sperm strikes the egg, it begins the development process. Well, when light strikes the film, you got to take that film and get it processed and developed. Right. So, and then you just mentioned how thought travels. Thought travels at 24 billion miles per second. Well, film travels through a camera at 24 frames per second. All these little correlations started coming to me where it made me to think that I got to push through. Why? Because when a woman is pregnant, when she gets to the end to deliver, what do the doctor tell her to do? Push.
Push.
You breathe and you push. So when we have these ideals and we have these obstacles that come up, we gotta push. You know what I'm saying? And when you get hard, and like you said, when you get to the point when you about to break through, that's when those labor pains start coming.
Yeah.
So it ain't like it's gonna be hard. I mean, like easy. You're gonna feel some pain, but your job is to breathe and push. You know what I'm saying? If you want to give birth to whatever the ideal that you have in you, or you can do what a lot of people do and abort the process.
Right.
The choice is yours.
No,
I like to push, man. When you get pain, I know that pain is there. Push.
Right. No, that's key. You know, you got to get through it. You know, but I'm finding though, you know, that's the common denominator as I'm having in these conversations is everyone has that moment, but they push through. Push through. But in conversation, you come across a lot of individuals who's really giving up though, and it's kind of sad. It's like, man, you know what I'm saying? Don't give up, but they're going. They
aborted the process.
Yeah.
The abortion.
Right. That's crazy. So you know, so that kind of capped off you kind of hit on all my points. So let me ask you though, you know, Ben, you talked about the phones and that you can, you know, do everything now, kind of yourself, what you can. So where do you see the film industry headed? Because on one end, I see, you know, Hollywood is crumbling. You know what I'm saying? This world is coming down. And I was having a conversation with my mom. I was saying, you know, it's funny how God working because all the ones who I believe is, you know, really trying to strive for righteousness, their time now, they're starting to sprout. And I'm seeing, you know what I'm saying? So where do you see the film industry going now with streaming and this, that, and the third? Like, what do you know, being in the game for so long, where do you see it going?
I think content is king. You know what I'm saying? And I think as long as we can control and maintain our content, we will be good. But at the same time, the only thing that we like what I'm doing right now with the little voice is pushing it mainly on social media. Pushing. That's what I'm saying, brother. Go. You gotta go see the little voice. Then afterwards you gotta share because we can make each other stars. We used to look at Hollywood; they try to make us stars. So, but like you said, Hollywood is going down. And I remember looking at a video, and it was right before, and Jay-Z was explaining to the crew that he was with at the time, look, any music y'all have, y'all need to go ahead and drop it and get it out because there's a brother, 50 Cent, right around the corner, and he about to drop in the club. And once that comes out, it's gonna be shut down. You ain't gonna be able to do nothing. So I think that's like the same time we at as filmmakers and artists right now. We got this pandemic, we got Hollywood going down, we got content, get it out, push it out, you know, and then market and promote.
When you speak of content, right? Because you do content is king, right? So, but as you know, in your world, you know, the turnaround is not if now you could promote. How long do you promote a film before you like gear up to put another one out? Like in the music game, you know what I'm saying? And it accelerated now because I came up in music, but at one point we put an album out this year, start working on it for the next year. Now it's becoming each quarter we gotta have a project out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what is the turnaround for film? You know, because I see you got another one, Mama. What is it?
Gutter Mummies.
Gutter Mamas, right? So like, what is that process? How much you know? Content are you cranking out in a year to where when you release it, you have new content on top of new content?
Well, actually, for me, this is the first time that I've ever, you know, this is really unheard of to have like 2 films literally dropping back to back.
Right.
So I got the little voice the little voice. I'll tell you again, THELIL voice. Check it out. It's streaming right now. And then Gutter Mummies comes out next month in November. So that's and then next year we should have Stepdad and The Start of Marriage. 2 more films dropping back to back. Right. So, but that's just work. You know what I'm saying? So as far as marketing and pushing it, I'm never gonna stop marketing and pushing the films because I own them.
Right.
You know, when a distribution company owns them, that's their job to market and push, which they don't do, but they take the money and like they are doing it, but they don't do it. So, and it's like property, bro. Let's say I have 10 films that's out, right?
Right.
And let's say these films is only bringing in $400 a month, which is nothing for a movie.
Right.
But I got 10 films that's out in the marketplace. Now, like I said, we got 4 billion people in the world, all over the world. I'm sure if I'm pushing it just a little bit, each film can make $400 a month. That's 10 films. That's $4,000 coming in just from those movies.
Yeah.
Not, you know, so that's how I'm thinking about it. It's like property.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So why give your property, you know, away when you can now with streaming get it out there, but you got to market it. You just can't put it out there and think a mystery guide is going to make people come to it. You got to put a little market and promotion in it. So, yeah.
Right. No, right. Now, I'm not gonna hold you too much longer, but just stuff I've been really curious about. Like, was it ever a time, and I might know the answer, but was it a time to where, like, what is the politics like? You know, when at the time when you're trying to get into Hollywood or not, but your name is buzzing, but they see that last name Muhammad. Like, what is the politics like? Because I've had experience in the music industry. Is when once we told them who our lawyer was, and it was everything, contracts, everything, no, we don't want to deal with you. So what is the politics like for you, or has been for you? And then how do you overcome it for, you know, folks in your position? It's
been there. As a matter of fact, Solitaire, right? A film that I did, my first film I did, a major company had reached out to redo the movie with major cast. One of the things they wanted me to do is not go by my last name. I never told nobody that story.
Right.
Only a couple of people know that. So now I don't know who I was listening now, but now they know it. So that is real. I didn't do it, you know.
Right.
So I'm thinking if I would have went to Hollywood and played the game, I could be further along.
Right.
But could I live with myself? Nah. So it's beyond that, because one thing I know is that ultimately God is in control. Ultimately, you know what I'm saying? So if I keep my focus there, you know, and keep pushing the way I want to do it, I think he'll get the glory when you see the rise. Because Hollywood can't take credit for that.
No, real tough. But and I'm glad you said that, because like I said now, I'm watching you, man, and I know your star shining now, but it's that patience. Your time with the shine is coming now, and now, man, when far as trailblazers, especially in black film, you at the top of the list. You know what I'm saying?
Man, thank you, bro.
Yes, sir. You're at the top of the list. So my last thing I want to get out, just for, you know, actors who will be watching, you know, what is it, like, how do you determine, like, is it a thing with actors that, do they have an it factor, or is it something you could learn or train to have that, you know, how do you see that it factor in the actor? Like, how do you see that?
Passion. I mean, they got to have the passion for it, man, because some people will have it, so to speak, but if they don't have the passion, they're not going to push, you know. In a minute something comes up that they don't like, or, you know, the hours get long and they like, man, we've been here for 4 hours, man, when we going to start shooting? You know, you got to have the passion for it, for anything that you want to do. But acting, and then like we talked about earlier, the craft, you got to study the craft, you know. So if you really passionate about it, watch actors, read about it, study the craft. And when I see an actor putting that type of work in, I mean, I have no problem, even though they may not have the so-called it, but I see that they serious about the craft. I mean, let's rock.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, again, I appreciate you for connecting with me. I'm sorry about the other studio. I'm gonna figure that out. That was
oh, no problem.
But man, I appreciate you connecting with me. You dropped a lot of jewels. Everybody go back and review that, and then just let the people know who's listening. Well, again, what to look out for, your movies again, where they can find you, and how they can reach out to you. And lastly, on top of that, just some last encouraging words for, up and coming filmmakers, and I'm included in this. Like what should be my mindset moving forward?
Okay, well, you can, first of all, the little voice. Oh, that's what I'm pushing, man. The little voice, the little voice, the little voice. Please check it out, share it, talk about it, because the best marketing is the word of mouth. I mean, that's the best thing we can do is the word of mouth. Also, Gutter Mummies is coming right after that. Same thing. You can follow me at A Muhammad Film. That's on Instagram and Twitter, A Muhammad Film, and Arthur Muhammad on Facebook. You can find me there, Arthur Muhammad. Also, the Little Voice website is just the Little Voice Movie, and AM Film Studios. That's my website. As far as for the artists, find your voice and stay true to it. That's one thing that I'm still doing. But as I look back, I see the thread in my movies of my voice, right. And I think if you find your voice, like meaning the type of movies you want to tell, and stay true to it, because sometimes you can fall off the path or get off your square, so to speak. Right. Stay true to your voice and tell those stories. And as long as you're doing that, make sure you can look back at the end and look at your work and say, that's me. Right. Because the thing about it is, it's going to live way beyond after you. So when you're gone, your work is still going to be out there. What are you going to leave for the next generation?
Right. Makes sense. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Again, well, I appreciate you for connecting with me, man. I'm gonna definitely reshare what you got going on. This is you always welcome back. You know what I'm saying? I hope to connect with you later, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I apologize too, bro, from yesterday. I know I missed that whole thing up. So
it's all good. It's all good, man. You know what I'm saying? The good thing, look at pandemic. We got virtual, man. Ain't nothing to it. Right. So again, man, appreciate you, man. Have a blessed one.
All right, bro. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.